Hi, welcome to Corey's Kitchen, the place where you come to hear a retired cop turned real estate agent who uses really corny analogies to help you understand the North Idaho real estate market. Today, we're going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and use a dinner fork to help us understand the North Idaho real estate market. So, grab your loaves and your dinner forks and let's do this. I spare no expense to educate you on the North Idaho real estate market, the area here around Coeur dAlene. So we're going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to help us learn better. Don't judge, I do use Skippy peanut butter. Okay, so let's just say that this is a piece of land where you want your house, and we're going to put our house together. So our house, we want, what do we want? Maybe a quarter acre, half acre, 5 acres. There we go. Some 5 acres right there. Okay, so that takes care of the land. And over here we've got our home. So, love these little squeezy tubes. We're going to spread some jelly here. Oh, actually, this is not jelly. This is 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and let's do some RV parking and a shop. There we go. Okay, so that's the house that we have picked out on the market here in North Idaho, and to kind of clean things up a little bit, I do like mixing my peanut butter with my jelly. So we'll set that there. So there's your house. You've got your land, your home with your 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, RV parking, shop. There we go. And that home that we have picked out is $500,000. Now, we want a loan to pay for that house, so get our loan out. And we're going to put these two together. We've got our $500,000 house. Going to put that into our loan, and that should take care of it. Huh. My house is not fitting into my loan. $350,000 loan, and my house is a little too big, but we're not going to give up. Oh no, we are not giving up. I know what we can do. We've been on Zillow. We know the market. There's no way that this house should be worth $500,000. We're going to make it fit. So let's go ahead and try to make it fit. Fold it over a little bit, and that ought to help it fit into our loan. That's not working. So there's no way that this house should be worth $500,000. This is North Idaho. It should be more affordable. We're not giving up. Let's go ahead. I know what we can do. We can cut that like that. We're going to make this home fit into our $350,000 loan. Okay. That's not working. But we are not giving up yet. Stupid Californians. If it weren't for the Californians, my home wouldn't be $500,000 and I could make it fit into my bag. But we're not giving up yet. We are going to make this fit. So let's go ahead and dice it up a little bit. There are more than one way to beat the market. Okay, so there we go. This ought to make that $500,000 house fit into my $350,000 budget. No. But we are not giving up. Again, this is North Idaho. These homes should not be this expensive. But we are not giving up. We are going to make it fit. So this is a tactic that we can use. We can flatten this baby down. We'll make it fit inside our loan. We are not done yet. All right, so here we go. Make this overpriced $500,000 North Idaho property fit into my budget yet. All right. You get my point. No matter how you fold it, cut it, dice it, or roll it, it's really difficult to put a $500,000 home into a $350,000 budget, especially in a seller's market. And we can bellyache and complain all we want about Californians and whatever else factors that we think make the prices go up. But if you want to be in the North Idaho real estate market, you need to understand what the prices are, and then you have to decide if you want to pay those prices. So if you're looking at buying in North Idaho, you're going to want to take the next couple minutes to watch this video because we're going to be flinging some truth here. We're going to answer two questions. The first question is, why is the North Idaho housing market so competitive? What makes it so desirable? And two, what tactics don't work, what tactics work in order to make our home fit into our budget. So, by the magic of video, we are all cleaned up. So what makes North Idaho such a competitive real estate market? Well, it's a seller's market. And a seller's market is a situation where you have limited properties that are for sale, and you have a higher demand that want those properties, and that allows the sellers of the properties to keep their prices elevated. And it's best summarized here in this page that you see off of redfin.com. Now, this was done at the end of November, so almost to the end of 2019. And what you see is their little summarization of our market. You can see Coeur d'Alene housing market. They give it an 80 out of 20 on the competitive score, and they call it very competitive. And then under that, you can see that they say many homes get multiple offers, some with waived contingencies, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. They also say that homes sell for about 2% below list price and go pending in around 20 days. That's your average home. And they also say that hot homes can sell for around list price and go pending in around 4 days, and that's certainly true. They also say that the average home price towards the end of November here in 2019 was $380,000, which was 1.7% below the asking price. So they're getting pretty much 98% of the asking price. And the average time on the market is 20 days. So that summarizes our seller's market. And I want to analyze a little bit more about why it's so competitive. So this next slide here, you'll see that the state of Idaho is the fourth largest state with the most public land. 70% of our land is actual public land. Well, as you go into the panhandle up here in North Idaho, that ratio of private land becomes even smaller. We only have about 15% of the private land that is zoned residential. And almost all of that prohibits subdividing below 5 acres. So why do we only have 15% private land? It's because the private land that we do have, a lot of it is owned by timber and mining companies. So understand that there's very little land to develop in the North Idaho area. Another factor contributing to low supply is how many homes are actually going onto the market. So let's take a look at this slide here. And you'll notice the decreasing amount of homes going on the market. People are not moving out of North Idaho. The amount of homes on the market in November 2019 was down 32% over November 2018. So you got a third less houses, and the demand has not slowed down. As a result of the limited private land to develop and decreasing homes entering the market, those wanting to move to North Idaho are competing for a very limited land and home supply. So let's go ahead and take a look at why the demand is high. Most of the people moving to North Idaho do so for the conservative culture and the lifestyle, not the affordable home prices. Culture and lifestyle driven buyers tend to put more value on where the home is as opposed to what the home is. Again, they're culture driven, lifestyle driven, not necessarily home price driven. More than half the country is less expensive than North Idaho. So those that place a value on the home more than they place a value on the culture, the lifestyle, are simply going to look at North Idaho as too expensive and move on to other markets. But there's plenty of people that do see the value in the North Idaho culture and lifestyle. One can only imagine the type of growth North Idaho would experience if it were cheap and inexpensive. you'd have everybody moving here. So price is actually a limiting factor in how many people are coming here. And unfortunately, some of you that are watching this video may make that determination that North Idaho is just too expensive for you. So why are so many people still coming to North Idaho if the prices are higher than in other places? And this is really important to understand, because before you discard North Idaho, you have to understand the draw. U.S. News reported in this slide here that even with above average real estate prices, Idaho still has the lowest cost of living in the western region, and it has the fourth lowest cost of living of any state in the United States. The cost of living is the price that residents pay for day-to-day expenses like gasoline, utilities, taxes, insurance, regulatory fees, and goods and services. Now, you add to the fact that you have an affordable cost of living, a very conservative part of the state in what is one of the few highly conservative states in the United States, as seen here in Gallup. And you'll see the conservative states indicated by red here on this map. The political ideology of the state is highly conservative. And those that are coming here for that conservative culture are willing to pay a little bit more for their home to be a part of that. So you've got an affordable cost of living, you've got a highly conservative culture, and then you throw into that an abundant and unmatched outdoor lifestyle. Now, the Matador Network identified Idaho as the third most popular state where people spend their time outside. And you'll look at the slide here. You notice that the slide gives a percentage of residents who participate in outdoor recreation each year. And the way it breaks down is that Alaska came out number one with 80% of the population spending their time outdoors. Montana tied with Alaska with 81%. And then Idaho came out third. 79% of the residents here actually love to be outside. And that's because we have amazing outdoor recreation. So when you factor in the low cost of living, the conservative culture, and the outdoor recreation, throw into that clean and safe cities, low population density, a mild four-season weather pattern, and then we have water. There's few places in the United States, when you put all that stuff together, that are going to add up to North Idaho. So the people that are coming here see that threshold of property price, the actual real estate price, as something they're willing to jump over in order to get the benefits on the backside. So that's why sellers are getting 98% of their asking price. And that's why North Idaho is in its fourth year of 10% gains or more. And we're going to go into that in our fifth year here in 2019. And that is why the Coeur d'Alene and North Idaho housing market is so competitive, because everybody wants to come here. Now, what are some tactics to ensure that you as a buyer can get the most for your money? Trying to get sellers down 30%, 20%, 10% in a market where sellers are getting 98% of their asking price is simply unrealistic, unless that home is absolutely trashed and you're still going to need to bring money to improve it. Buyers who try to outsmart a seller's market, they're kind of like this. They're like someone who wants to lose weight, and they want to use gimmicks to lose weight. And this is perhaps one of the greatest gimmicks of all time as far as weight loss goes. And there is no easy button to losing weight. You can do this all you want, and you're not going to lose weight. How do you lose weight? You got to get the fork out of your mouth. There is no easy button to losing weight. You have to pay the price. And it's the same in the North Idaho real estate market. There is no easy button. There is no cheap button. You're going to have to pay the price if you want the benefit of being here. And unfortunately, what we see is buyers' market tactics in a seller's market. That's like using this to lose weight. It's not effective. So we're going to call the following tactics ineffective, and these are the ones that people use in this market right now or try to use. And we're going to call those the Thigh Master tactics, and we're going to share 4 of them with you. So Thigh Master tactic number 1 that people try to use to get into our market here is foreclosures. Foreclosures are bank-owned properties where lenders attempt to sell a property through an auction to recover the balance of the loan that a borrower has defaulted on. In a strong seller's market, these properties rarely ever make it to auction because sellers who are faced with defaulting on a loan can sell the house to get out from under the loan. Real estate-owned properties or bank-owned properties and short sale homes represent less than 1% of the homes sold in the Coeur d'Alene and greater North Idaho areas. If a property in North Idaho makes it to auction, one must still win the auction. Properties are sold as is and payment is due in full. Buyers, especially those wanting properties in certain neighborhoods, are truly waiting to find a needle in a haystack. Well then, Corey, why do we see all these pre-foreclosures on Zillow? Pre-foreclosures are not foreclosures. Pre-foreclosures are actually the bank's way of threatening borrowers who are in the early stages of default. The banks will put their home on Zillow with old listing photos and the price of the loan, and they will use that to move the sellers to sell their home. So what you see as a pre-foreclosure on Zillow or Realtor is actually not on the MLS because the home is not for sale. It's just a threat. And when sellers that are in default figure it out, they can put their home on the market through the normal process. They sell their home, and they generally are able to get enough money from the sale of the house to pay the bank off, and they move on. So let's go ahead and look at Thigh Master tactic number 2. That's called lowball offers. Remember, it's virtually impossible to get a $500,000 home to fit into a $350,000 bag or loan, especially in a market where sellers are able to get 98% of their asking price. Corey, but I have cash. Doesn't that give me the liberty to lowball? Well, no, it doesn't. And it helps to understand the market so you have realistic expectations here. You guys, 1 in 4 deals of all deals in North Idaho is a cash deal. There's a lot of cash out there. And if it's a desirable property, you can expect to have competition. The facts are, of those 1 in 4 deals that are executed every year in North Idaho, the sellers are still getting 96% of their asking price. Those with cash are only able to negotiate down 2% over somebody with a loan that's having to pay 98% of the asking price. So no, having cash does not make you a slayer in a seller's market. Now, what it does do is cash is your most valuable bargaining term, and you and your real estate agent should be using the cash to your advantage because that's probably your most effective way in a seller's market to get priced down. Thigh Master tactic number 3 is contingent offers. Contingent offers are where the buyer makes an offer hoping that the seller of the Idaho property will take their home off the market and wait for the seller to go sell their home. Very unrealistic in a strong seller's market where sellers are able to sell their homes on average within 20 days. And if they have a really popular home, it's going to sell within 3 to 4 days and it's going to have multiple bids. If you are serious about getting properties in North Idaho, you need to at least have your home under contract to be considered serious by other sellers here. And we'll talk more about contingencies a little further down the video here. Thigh Master tactic number 4, and this is a popular one lately, is to try to build to save costs. So can one realistically build in North Idaho and save costs? And the answer is yes, only on the days when the sun rises in the west. Guys, you can't save money building here in North Idaho. The number one prohibitor to building right now is cost. We don't have abundant skilled labor. And as a result, contractors have to pay their laborers top dollar to keep them loyal. Second to that, materials are out of this world right now as far as price. Lumber itself. Lumber is going out of the lumber yards like never before because you have a booming economy where people are building. You have recovery efforts that are happening in California due to the fires. You have building efforts happening in Texas due to the flooding. And then the area of Puerto Rico got wiped out by a hurricane. So all that wood is going over there. Then you have metal, which has tariffs on it right now. And your tariffs have increased the price of metal 25 to 30% just over last year. And that's your joist hangers, that's your nails, your rebar, your siding, your roofing, anything that has to do with metal. Bottom line is the cost to build right now is prohibitive. But you say, I am going to save the labor costs and I'm going to build my own home or do a lot of the labor myself. That's unrealistic unless you're a contractor. And here's why. Banks are not going to give you a construction loan and have you build your own house unless you're a contractor. They want a bonded, licensed contractor to do the work because they're putting the money into that house. So the dreams that we see of everybody saying, I'm going to build my own house, you can do it if you have the cash to fund it yourself and you have the connections to make sure that you get the material drops and the laborers when you need them. It's a difficult thing to build, and we did a video called To Build or Not to Build, which I link right up here, and you can check it out. You do not build in North Idaho to save costs. The reason you build is to get what you want. Now, I know that I am an absolute buzzkill for a lot of you. I'm telling you that prices are high. There's very few ways that you can save money. The tactics that work in a buyer's market don't work in a seller's market. So Corey, how in the world do I make this happen? If you were to walk into a gym and ask a personal trainer the best way to lose weight, they're not going to do this with you. They're going to say, get the fork out of your mouth. This is a get your fork out of your mouth market. That means you have to pay the price to be here. So if you're not willing to pay the price or near the price, North Idaho is not going to work out for you. But let not your hope be crushed. There are tactics that you can use in a seller's market to ensure the best deal possible. And we call them get the fork out tactics. You got to get the fork out of your mouth. In other words, you got to pay, but there are some tactics we can do to make sure that you're not overpaying. Get the fork out tactic number one is know the market. Now, please understand, you sitting on your computer at work, looking at Zillow all day, does not a market expert make. This is where you need a real estate agent who knows the market and actually has the sell of homes to prove that they know the market. They're a top producer. Smart buyers listen to the wisdom of good agents. And we find some of the buyers that come to us still want to do this in a seller's market. If you're going to work with this, we are going to be honest with you. We're going to tell you, hey, your $500,000 home is not going to fit in this $350,000 budget. So let's try to meet in the middle here. Let's try to get your expectations real and try to get their price down. So a knowledgeable agent can also identify properties that are overpriced. And there are properties that are overpriced. And you want an agent that's able to identify that and then use their experience and market data to bring the price down in negotiating with the seller's agent who's got the property on the market for too much. So tactic number one, have good expectations and have a good real estate agent that you can use to make that happen. Get the fork out tactic number two. Have no contingencies. At the very least, if you're selling a home, you should have a close of escrow date on the home you're selling when you make an offer on a property here. The sellers here want to know when they can close. We've created a tool that you can use. This resource is called the Buyer Pecking Order. You can see it here on the screen. It's basically a sliding scale that shows where contingent offers are strong and where they're weak. And it's kind of fun to look at your current situation and see where you rank on this tool. Get the fork out tactic number three. Have a strong local lender. And why is that important? I mean, good agents that use lenders day in, day out, they know who the good lenders are. And here's who the good lenders are, you guys. Good lenders are the ones that give you, the buyer, good rates, good terms. They answer their phone, they address your questions, and they know what they're doing. And there's two different camps. There's the local lender and there's the volume chain lender. The volume chain lender, they deal in volume. They don't have a face in the community. A lot of times they're working in offices that are in the East Coast or the West Coast. And when it comes crunch time and you need something from a lender, basic as a phone call, or you need them to go the extra mile on something, you need to be able to get a hold of them and you need to know that they're going to perform. A local lender who doesn't perform under pressure does not get used by us again. A local lender does not get used by real estate agents who know what they're doing because they don't want to get burned again. But we see clients who are using chain lenders get burned all the time. And here's the difference. Local lenders have a face in the community and they have a stake. Volume lenders, they could lose a deal or two and no one's going to know who they are. So it's important when you're in a competitive bid situation that you have a lender on your team that the other selling real estate agents recognize is not going to cost them the deal for their sellers down the road. So don't underestimate the value of a lender on your team, a local lender. All right, get the fork out tactic number 4 is offer terms that are favorable to the seller. So let's talk about a couple of these terms. A good buyer's agent, when you go to make an offer on a property, before you make the offer, your agent's going to call the selling agent and say, hey, what's the situation with your sellers? First, do you have any other offers? If they have other offers on the table, that already tells us we need to go into a competitive bid situation and format our bid for that. But we also want to know what the seller's priorities, concerns, and timeline are. With that knowledge, we can put that into our offer and make the offer sweeter for the seller. So what are some of those terms that we can offer them? Well, 1, we can waive or shorten inspection contingency periods. And we don't normally recommend this unless we need a nuclear option. And what is a contingency period? Well, that's your inspections. So if you waive your inspection contingency and you tell the seller, hey, look, we're not even going to inspect the house. We'll inspect the house, but we're not going to come back and nickel and dime you on the things that we see we need to do. We're going to take care of that on our own. That's a real good tactic to use in a competitive situation where you really want the home, and that'll help you to set yourself apart from the other offers. But again, it is a nuclear option because you need to have a good inspection. The second term is you can offer the seller a longer or shorter escrow based on what they need. If they need a longer escrow because they're moving into a house and need to make that move, give them a longer escrow if it works for you. If they need a shorter escrow because they need to get out of town for a job, give them a shorter escrow if you can make that happen. Another term is to allow sellers to stay in the home rent-free for a week or 2 after the close of escrow. And that gives them time to load up their boxes and get out of the house. You could also rent it back to them for a discounted rate or at a normal rate. But a lot of times in this market, sellers, their houses sell so quickly that it puts more pressure on them to get out of their house. So if you can give them a little bit more elbow room, maybe a week or 2 to rent the house back, that can help get your offer accepted. Another tact or term that we can offer the sellers is we can offer more price if we're competing against other offers. And this is really necessary if you have a loan. If you come into a competitive bid situation, we're going to try to find out if the other offers are cash. And if they are, we know that we're going to have to come in over asking price. If we know that it's just other loans, we'll ask the other agent who's the lenders on that. We're going to try to see where our strengths are. But you can come in over price if you really want the home and it's necessary. If it's necessary, that's sometimes the only thing that you have in your quiver is to offer more price. And that's how the prices are able to get 98% of the asking price. Another tactic or term that we can use in submitting our offers is to submit a letter, maybe with a family photo if that's relevant for you. Sellers actually do care about who moves into their house. They care that their house is going to be taken care of. And one of the sometime forgotten terms that we can submit with an offer is to just give a letter that says, hey, we really do like your home and it's going to be in good hands with us if we get it. All right, so there you have 4 tactics that can serve well in a competitive seller's market. And those are take the fork out tactics. They're not thigh master tactics. So there you have it. We have shared with you why the Coeur d'Alene market is so desirable and as a result, why it's so competitive. We've also given you some tactics that you don't want to use, and we've given you some tactics that you do want to use in helping you to acquire that North Idaho property. Guys, those who end up buying here are realistic about the prices. They're realistic about the effort that it takes to get here. And when they get here, they are richly rewarded. They find that jumping over that threshold of the above average prices, they're rewarded with an incredibly better lifestyle and a lower cost of living, and we already discussed that. But if you want to end up here, you got to get the fork out, okay? That's it for now, guys. If you want more information about us, about North Idaho, please go to our website, livebetterinnorthidaho.com. It is there where you can find our email, phone numbers. You got questions, ask us, and we'll start up that relationship and get your questions answered. We do appreciate you following our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. That way you can get more corny analogies about the North Idaho market. All right, thanks for following. Bye now. Helps reduce double chins. Makes you a better listener. Bye now.